This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of April 2016, Mountain Glass is offering 25% off AccuGrind joints. Just put in the code AccuGrind, that's ACCUGRIND, at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds, they're offering their COE 104 sale on mandrels and bead release. You can get it for 20% off. Just put in the code BEAD, that's BEAD, at checkout. For further questions or comments, contact mountainglass.com, that's mountainglass.com. This episode is also brought to you by C-Cube Co. C-Cube now creates a wide range of specialty and one-of-a-kind artistic glassware, items such as hand-blown wine crafts, insulated coffee mugs, pint glasses, and custom piggy banks that you can have personalized with imprinting, logos, and color accents that are available. Just go to C-Cube Co, that's SEACUBECO.com for more information. That's ccubeco.com. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 94. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. With 17 years of experience behind the torch, I am as excited as always to bring you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your business. And today, it is no exception. Today's guest we have is Christopher Bock. He is a scientific glass artist and also has been getting and dabbling into more artistic glass work as well over the past couple of years. He has a company called C-Cube Co. or C-Cube Company. That is officially one of the new sponsors of the show, as well as him coming on as a guest. He's a tool maker, makes bench rollers, all kind of fun stuff. He was actually, Carl Termini was one of his first customers as he began the process of designing his tools, which we will get into a conversation in this episode. We get into a lot of fun talk. He's not really big into the science talk of glass blowing. It's more of into the conversation of just the process and his experiences behind it and really what he's learned from the glass and from dedicating yourself to a craft over so many years and how it really kind of blends into our life, which I find that a lot of us that are passionate about our work, we've more or less become a lifestyle for us. And in a sense, probably all of us that do this, if not 95% of us, we look at this as a lifestyle and are blessed to have the ability to do this as art as well and get our expressions out there and our emotions and all that fun stuff. So we get into that conversation, a lot of fun. He's married and he teaches as well. He's a member of the American Scientific Glassblowers Society. He will be out at the symposium that I'll be going out to myself out in May. And again, I'll be taking a bunch of video and getting some interviews and talking, and can't wait to get all that going. I'm super pumped about it. So other than that, right now Mountain Glass wanted to share with you guys, they have a couple sales going on some kilns. They have a Smith hand torch on sale right now that's at a discounted rate. The torches, or the kiln, I should say, the Paragon, they have their F130 Elite front-loading kiln. It's 11 by 13 by 11 is the inside diameter space. Again, it's 11 by 13 by 11, and it is right now going for $1,320. Normally it's $1,650, so it's for $1,320, but then you got to take into consideration shipping as well, which is a couple $100. So you really are saving a good amount of money, when you are getting this piece. They also have their hand Smith torch sale going on right now. You can save around $15. It's $135 right now on sale. Normally it's $149. It comes with 5 tips. It's the one I use myself. And then you can also get into some bigger, more proficient heat-wise, source-wise torches, tips, and stuff, and what have you, that are out there and available. They also want to give us all their updates on the cadmium deals that are going on. They both have little write-up here from Glass Alchemy and North Star. Glass Alchemy, they are saying that in light of recent concerns raised by local officials regarding certain custom glass manufacturers that use arsenic and cadmium in production process, Glass Alchemy has temporarily suspended production of their crayon colors and lemon drop glass products. While Glass Alchemy does not use arsenic in their production process, low levels of cadmium are used in these specific colors. Glass Alchemy has not been the subject of any regulatory concern. However, to be responsive to public concerns about other producers' activities, they will not be taking any new orders for these colors at this time. And then North Star has their little thing, says, due to concerns raised by the DEQ and EPA about glass manufacturers in Portland, Oregon, North Star has decided to temporarily halt production of cadmium colors. They estimate these colors will be back in full production in 4 to 8 weeks after they have new filtration systems installed. The staff here at Mountain Glass is dedicated to keeping you informed. As soon as we know more, we will update you. Thank you for your patience and understanding. So if you guys, again, have any more custom or any questions or concerns about any of this, you can just go to mountainglass.com. They can read about this article, maybe contact them, or if you want to contact the color companies directly. So as we all go through this right now, there's a little issue with the cadmiums. And towards the end of the week, I'm going to be playing an interview with kind of a follow-up with Adrienne Ladd, also known as Glass Happy. She came on last week, and we had a good conversation about her kind of life and where she is now. From the last episode, she talked about her health, and this one we get into the health also, but kind of the changes she's gone through and for the positive. We also talk about this whole cadmium deal and some of the kind of the lifestyle choices and decisions that are currently being made in the industry. So it's kind of a fun conversation. So stay tuned for that towards the end of the week. And other than that, I'm going to let you guys go before I ramble on too much. Love you guys. Don't forget to go to wiseguymedia.com. Today is Sunday. I'm recording this. I should have the subscription menu pop-up link completed. So if you have not yet subscribed to our newsletter, which is going to be, again, going out this month, just go to wiseguymedia.com, and you'll sit there for about 10 seconds or so, and a little pop-up thing will come up on the screen. And just throw in your email address. We promise we do not share any information with anybody. It's personally private. Any conversations we have with you as well will not be shared or anything. So if you have any confirmation or if you have any questions or comments or concerns, definitely hit me up at info@wiseguyradio.com. And other than that, you all happy melting this week. It's already April. Can't believe it. Taxes are coming up soon. I'm actually making my appointment tomorrow to finalize all my taxes and stuff, and I will be updating everybody and hoping to be getting the recording going with her as well, talking about some of this stuff, so we can inform you guys about taxes. And other than that, take it easy. Enjoy this episode of Wise Guy Radio Show, episode 94, with Chris Bock of C-Cube Company. Talk to you guys soon. Peace. Hey, what's going on, Chris? How you doing, brother?
Hey, Jason, going good. Nice and sunny here.
Yeah,
finally.
Yeah, hell yeah, same here, bro. It's like 75 degrees out today. It's beautiful. I love it. I love being outside and this time of year. Can't beat it.
Oh, yeah. Woke up this morning, had a trailer to unload, and opened the door, and I was like, sun.
So where are you located? You're northeast?
Yeah, consider the northeast. I am in the southern part of Delaware.
Okay.
I'm about 15 minutes north of Salisbury, Maryland, and about 45 to an hour south of Dover, Delaware.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice country, rural, I think we have like 4 neighbors. Plenty of grass, plenty of sun.
Heck yeah, sounds like my kind of environment.
Oh yeah, you should come visit if you want.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna be making a road trip this summer. I got a lot of map to get out and plan and stuff for this trip, so definitely will keep you in mind. I'm gonna try to actually go through all the guests I've had on the show, and just come visit everybody as we've been discussing and talking, and kind of meet everybody in person. It's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Hell yeah, man. Well, so before we get too sidetracked here, if you want to give us a little brief history on your background, where you got started, and who introduced you to the flame.
Okay. Graduated high school. My mom said, you need a job to get your dad off your back. I have a job for you. And I started working at a place that did crushable glass ampules. They're like the ammonia inhalants that you see boxers use, they'll crack. Yeah, we made them. And I started off just as an assembly worker, worked up to operating the machines, Then I started repairing, setting them up, cleaning them up, repairing them, rebuilding them, building machines, building maintenance of the whole building. And that lasted about 7 or 8 years. Gosh, that was a long time. And then the owners changed hands. Management didn't like me. I didn't like them. I was a cocky little kid. And they let me go. And then I was just driving through the industrial park one day, the local industrial park, and there was a company that had glass in its name. And, being a cocky little kid, I know glass, stopped in, put an application. I went into the office, sat down, got the application, started writing it out. This old guy comes up, sits next to me. Now, mind you, being a young kid, this is an older person, probably my age now, calling him old.
Right.
And he keeps looking over at my application. I'm like halfway done. He goes, "Come with me." So I put the application down, follow him. He goes out onto the floor. We start talking. He goes, "Okay, you're hired. You could start Monday. You'll be a parts puller." I'm like, "Cool. That sounds great." And he goes, "Go back to the office, finish the application, and come in Monday. Come see this one person." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Come in Monday. Figure, I'm going to be pulling parts for the other glass blowers in the company. And they said, "Well, you're going to be on the lathe. You're going to be a glass blower." So the first day, I'm like, "Cool, great. I get to play with real fire." So in the first day, I was putting handles on stopcock barrels. And then I did that for a couple hours. And then I did stopcocks onto separatory funnels. And then in the afternoon, I was pulling the taper on the separatory blanks and sealing stopcocks. Now, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was doing it right. And later on, I found out that the old guy was the actual owner of the place.
Huh.
Yeah. And we had a good friendship ever since, and we still do. Him, his sons, we still talk every once in a while when we see each other. But yeah, I mean, that's how I got into glass blowing. And once I started doing it, I loved it. And I kept telling my boss at the time, "I can do that, I can do that, I can do that." So he would give me harder and harder stuff, expecting me to fail. And I kept making it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when you first started doing these items, did you even know what the hell they were used for?
No, I didn't even know what they were called.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
You want to explain to us what they're called? Because I have no idea what they are.
Okay. A stopcock is basically just a valve.
Okay.
The ones in the industry, they're on a taper, not the joint taper, but on a slightly different taper. And they're just not a press fit, but they go together kind of tight, and you could turn them, and they're either open or closed. And you got the barrel, which is the outside, and you have the plug, which is the inside. And you got to put a handle on the plug so that you can turn it. It's like your water spigot outside.
Okay. Yeah.
It's kind of like that idea.
Yep.
And a separatory funnel is a round bottom flask, a ball, with one side pulled into a point.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And then the blank is just the one side, instead of being pulled into a point, it's just pulled down onto a piece of tubing, which is how they make them.
Okay.
And then, that's the blank. And then what I was doing was just pulling that excess tubing off into the taper that it should be, and then sealing the stopcock onto that.
Interesting. So what kind of do you know companies that were using that stuff, or was it just kind of all over, just pharmaceutical companies and stuff?
Oh gosh, every company, pharmaceutical, petrochemical, roadway divisions were using it to test, different things, aviation, gosh, I mean, they're just common items that are everywhere.
Cool. Heck yeah. How many of those were you pumping out a day?
Oh gosh, I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was probably the handles on the barrels or the handles on the plugs were probably about every 2-3 minutes I was pumping one out.
Nice. So it basically was a process of just doing like one item at a time, and then you take them together and then piece them together and build them up.
No, you're basically just making components.
Okay.
So the like one person, it's like a production shop.
Right.
You would for the stopcocks. There's one person that makes the barrels. It's usually a hand tooler that makes the barrels, and then it goes from there to another person who seals the arms on. There was a person that made the arms, so you're like three people involved making this one part, and then from there, once it's done, it goes to the glass blower to seal it onto whatever else, whatever apparatus. So you're just making like one component of the whole thing.
Okay. That makes sense. So how long did you do that for with that company?
I did it for about 3 years, then left, and then came back for about 2.
Did you go leave and go get another job somewhere else?
Well, I left because I got divorced,
Okay.
and it was just something I had to leave the area, and I did, and I regret it, but I mean, I still had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it came back and had a blast, and then I left them to go to another glass company, and then another glass company, and then on my own.
Heck yeah. And when did you start doing all this?
I say I started in '89
Okay.
when I graduated high school.
Okay.
But I would say becoming a real glass blower, like the first real glass blowing job, was '96 or '97. I think it was '96.
Heck yeah. And you're in your 40s now, I take it?
Yeah, God, yeah. I'm old.
Hey, man,
I feel it every day.
Yeah, I'll be 40 this year, man. I'll definitely am feeling the 17 plus years now getting on the torch, and all my childhood injuries too are catching up.
Oh yeah, they definitely catch up.
It's crazy. All the years of baseball
Yeah.
and shit. It's like, God, man, I've been using my hands and shoulders and arms for, I guess, my entire life, repetitively, over and over and over for something.
Oh yeah.
So-
I played soccer mostly, and I loved it. A lot of fun, but man, my legs are killing me almost every day.
Yeah. So when you were doing the lathe work, were you sitting or were you standing?
Depends on the job.
Okay.
Some of the jobs I was sitting for, some of them I was standing for. There's been times when, like in the wintertime, I was standing at doing this one job, and middle of winter, the doors in the factory are open because you need the ventilation.
Yeah.
The front of me is dripping sweat. I'm in a pair of shorts. It's free. There's snow on the ground outside, and my back is freezing.
Yeah.
It's the job I was doing.
Yeah.
You just had to deal with it.
Yeah, I know that back in the day when I was doing that at my shop, the same thing. Like I would have my back door was pretty close to me, and my wife at the time, now my ex-wife, I had her make a coat for me that had just the back of it had an extra lining of like wool in it just to keep my back warm because it was the same thing like you're saying. I'd be sweating and hot up front, and party in the back going on, cold as shit.
Oh yeah. You turn around, then all of a sudden, boom, you're frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you've been doing that up in the northeast the whole time, that area where, I can't imagine that's some snowy cold weather.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, when you say northeast, are you thinking like
Delaware.
New York? Well, yeah.
I guess. So what would that be considered? I guess it's not really, like not completely full northeast because that's not like the New England area.
Right.
You're just south of there.
Well, I know for the ASGS sectioning, it's considered the Delaware Valley section.
Okay.
And that covers like halfway up, probably like from halfway up of Jersey down to the tip of Delaware into Pennsylvania a little bit.
Okay.
And then above that's the Northeast.
Heck yeah. So so when you left all these companies and started to do your own thing, what was it that you continued to, I guess, in your progression of your glass, what was it that you started to develop yourself and finding your niche for your own business?
It was pretty much a customer that I had. The last 2 places I worked at, the customer came into one of the places, and I started doing their work that they wanted, their products. And then when I left that company to go to the last company, I told the customer, and the customer said, "We definitely want you to keep doing it, but we just can't leave." we have to let the other business fail basically, and then we'll hop over to you. So I had a customer that was loyal to me, and then once I went on my own, the last company I worked for, they're like, take them. We don't want them. Take them. You do the work anyway. You just take them.
That's fun.
And so it's more, my niche was more of the custom, small scale, oddball scientific glass.
Cool.
I catalog items, I don't do. I could care less about doing them. I don't want to do 350 ml flasks. I don't want to do them. You buy them in the catalog, it's cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you want that on something else, yeah, I'll do it. It's not a problem. And then I had it's mostly just custom stuff that I do. I have one customer who wanted mugs one year. He wanted a vacuum jacketed mug. We worked out the details. I made it for him. He posted it online. And now, I've had orders from Australia, California, England. They see it online and, hey, this is neat and unique. Yeah, just about every glassblower can do it, but, my name is out there that I've done this.
Yeah, that's rad. So what is it, like an insulated mug, like a double layer type thing?
Yeah.
Has a cavity around it?
Yep, has a little cavity. It's vacuumed, which, insulates it. And, I've had some people say, hey, it's really nice. Can you make a beer glass? And I'm like, yeah, I made beer glass. And then I had another guy say he wanted a wine bottle.
Huh.
Sure, I'll make it. Why not?
Yeah, that's pretty specific. But man, that's a hell of a niche to get into, especially with the way that industry, the wine and the beer industry, is going right now. Really. But I'm sure you don't want to be, like you said, you don't want to crank out hundreds of these things.
Yeah, I do them in small batches. Like I'll do 50, in a batch, and then wait a couple of months when I have nothing else to do, and then make some more.
Right. So are they customized with like people's brands on them and stuff, and what have you?
Oh, yeah. I put decals on them. And a lot of times people want to use them in the dishwasher, which you can, but the dishwasher will etch off the decal.
Right.
It's just the cleaning chemicals that they use. So what I do is I put the decal on the inside.
Oh, hell yeah.
So it'll never fade. Well, it might fade, but it'll never deteriorate, and you'll always see it.
Yeah, and the fact that it's sealed up and vacuumed like that, there's no chance of moisture getting in there at all either.
Correct.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
So can you put those in the freezer too? And like, does it, I guess, it's Pyrex glass you're using, correct? Or
Correct.
borosilicate?
Yeah, borosilicate.
Cool, yeah, so
Yeah.
you can deal with the thermal back and forth, and that's pretty rad.
Yeah, as long as you don't shock it too much.
Right.
I mean, like, if you take it from the freezer and put it on your stove, you're going to shatter it.
Right, yeah, hot coffee or something in there.
Yeah. I mean, you can pour hot coffee in it with no problem. Once it's, if it's at room temperature and you put hot coffee, it'll be fine. But if you're like out of the freezer and hot coffee, it's not going to work.
Huh. It's kind of funny. That reminds me of years and years ago. My ex-wife and I used to have dinner parties, and I pulled a casserole dish out, and it was a Corning glass casserole dish. And I pulled it out and walked into the living room to bullshit a little bit with the friends, and we heard this explosion in the kitchen. And I went in the kitchen, and the freaking lid on the dish, like for whatever reason, there was an issue with it, but it exploded literally, and there was glass all over the place. And of course, everybody had their food out, and they all had Saran wrap on top of the food. So, needless to say, we all had glass in our food and had to order pizza.
Well, yeah, you make the best of it.
Yeah.
Laugh it off and make the best of it.
Yeah, but it was crazy because I had just, at that point in time, I just got into kind of dabbling in glass. My apprenticeship was a year long, and it was 6 months of shopkeep and then 6 months of hands-on. And so I had seen it done. I really hadn't gotten on a torch yet. I was still sweeping floors and stuff and earning my keep. So I was like, what the fuck is this? Like I was, dealing with Corning. I'm like, these guys have a reputation, what the hell? But then, like, for years, I was seeing down the road people having issues with either their lids on their casserole dishes exploding, or like the glass in their actual ovens were having issues with it. And I guess there was something going on, and in that world of kitchen shit and corning glass, they were having some issues with it. I don't know if it was the manufacturing process or if it was the secondary companies that were selling the product. It's.
Well, did you know that the Corning Pyrex baked dish line is not Pyrex? It's not borosilicate.
I heard. Yeah, I've read that actually. Yep.
Yeah, it's soda lime.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah, soda lime handles the temperature variance a little bit better,
Huh. I didn't know that.
from what I hear.
Yeah.
I don't think it does, but
Yeah, because when I
that's
think of
what
soda lime, I'm thinking of like soft glass furnace work type stuff, or
Yeah.
more in that area. That really doesn't handle heat and cold, because once you make a piece, you really can't do anything else to it, temperature wise. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, huh? Interesting.
it sure is. Yeah, there was a Consumer Reports article about it, and my wife saw it and cut it out and handed it to me, and I have it floating around somewhere.
Yeah, I have to dig that up somewhere. I'm sure I can Google it and find it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think I lost it in one of the few moves I've done.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So to get back to your company, so now your company that you have is the C Cube, and
Correct.
So is it you just specialize in the glass, or is there other areas of in your company that you focus and specialize in?
I started off with just glass, and then I found a need for tools for the industry. I do hand tools for joints, adjustable bench rollers, turntables, and because of my good mechanical background, I'm working on lathes, fixing them, repairing them, cleaning them. So like this morning, I just took off a double E Lytton off the trailer, and I have a GL 100 that's going out west. I got to box up and ship.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm not just glass.
Cool. So I guess kind of to back up then to your mechanical background, because you said that's what you were first doing as a young kid. Did you go to school for that, or was it something that you learned with hands-on training?
Just hands-on training. My dad was in the era where, he grew up with his dad fixing everything because, with Great Depression, you don't throw anything out, you fix things.
Yeah.
So my dad, if there was a problem in the house, plumbing, electrical, wood, he would do what he could. And then if he couldn't do it, he would get somebody in. And, my brother and myself, we were just helping him all the time. And, work on the cars, no problems doing that. And it just, my brother, he does wood. I do glass. We both do a little bit of metal. What other medium is out there? Glass, wood, metal.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
Have you guys done any like art together besides making tools and stuff?
No. He works hard during the day, and when he comes home, he just wants to relax. And I really don't blame him.
Yeah.
He's older than me, so he's ancient.
Do you guys work together in the same space, or do you have your own individual spots?
We're two different states. He's in Jersey. Okay. I'm here. My parents are they're living in New Jersey, and my brother's living with them. And I got married and moved out, and I'm down here in Delaware. They're in Jersey, and I go up and bother them every once in a while. But yeah, we have separate spaces.
Cool. So is he doing the work for your tools, like the handles and stuff, or is that all you?
That's all me.
Cool. Hell yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure. That's why I was asking.
Now, for the wood for the handles, I have a company that makes that shape already, and I just buy in bulk from them and just cut it and drill it to what I need.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Are you making like graphite tools and different things like that?
No, I don't do anything in graphite. The hand tools I make are all steel.
Okay.
They're modeled off of what is used in the industry to make joints, and what hand toolers do in the scientific industry. And I have a couple of friends that all they do is hand tool every day. And when I was first started, I gave them a couple different designs I had. I said, what's good, what's bad, what needs to be changed? And they walked me through it all, and now the hand tools that I pump out now are basically from them, what they wanted.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like you have a good knack for customizing, to a point to where people really are getting what they ask for and what they need, which is not always easy to get, nowadays.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. If I was a big company and you wanted something custom, you're going to pay an arm and a leg. But because I'm small and I know other small shops, I can really bring the price down. And even then, people are bitching and complaining.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
It's nonstop. I got a thick skin now, and I just don't care.
Yeah, you have to, man. It's the only way to survive in this space because, you have your haters, and then you have the people that love your shit, and then they also want to complain about it at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of that, I guess, out of both sides of the mouth, backhanded compliment, whatever cliche you want to use,
Yeah, it's funny now. Like on Facebook, somebody will post a picture of one of my hand tools and their stuff and, what they made with it. And people say, oh, all you need is a reamer. You can do it all by hand. You can use this other company's tool. Your tool, Chris's tool is so expensive. It's not really needed. And I don't have to say a word. Everybody defends my stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If they have it, they defend it. And it's great. I don't have to do anything anymore. It's nice.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's important, man, when you have that tribe that's behind you to really, cover your ass in a sense and stand up for you and for your brand. It's so easy to get lost in the weeds as just like some other jabroni out there doing their thing. And when you have, like you're saying, you have a backing that supports you and knows you, and a lot of it comes from building trust, and that's kind of what we all are in the business for, is trust. And if people don't trust us and trust our work, then what's the point? They're not going to buy our shit from us ever again. So to be able to have that and that reputation it's so important, and especially in our space is I'm not going to say we're a dime a dozen because we're not, but there's a shit ton of glassblowers out there, whether it's scientific glassblowing or functional art or furnace work or whatever, and you got to be able to stand out as that one guy that's able to specialize and then be trusted for his specialty and then be the go-to guy or girl, in that area. So it's pretty sweet. It's I don't know, it's a blessing in a sense too, to be able to have that, and it's a lot of fun. Do you with your tool works that you're doing, like what kind of stuff are they making with the tools?
Joints, like 14 millimeter, 18 or 19, 10 millimeter joints.
Okay.
Those are a very big seller. I have a couple people that have, I think they're carbs, but I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't smoke. I very rarely drink. I'm not in the pipe industry, so all that terminology, I have no idea. But if this is what you want made, I'll make it.
Yeah.
And I had Carl Termini. You had him on earlier.
Oh yeah.
He was the one that really got me started with the hand tools.
Okay, cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah, he went to, from how I heard it, he went to Mike Sousa, who you've also had on, about hand tools, and Mike said to contact me. And then, I was talking back and forth to Carl, and, I made a couple of tools for him. And then he posted them online, and then everybody's like, where can I get them?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Carl's got a great reputation, and his work alone just speaks for itself. He's so different and stand out in terms of his style of what he does, on top of the function of it too. But it's and the fact that he's a killer dude. I mean, when I did my interview with him, it was one of my first interviews where I had trouble getting my thoughts together because I was so intrigued by what he was saying.
Oh yeah, he is. He's a fascinating man. He really is.
Yeah.
He really, really is. And I have to publicly say this. I have to apologize to him, and I haven't done it in person, but I have to apologize to him. There was a job that he wanted me to do, and I told him I can do it, and I just walked away from it. And that's not a good thing to do, but I don't know. It was just a bad thing, bad time in my life.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do that, man. Sometimes you just got to tap out. And knowing when to do that is the most important part, because you can prolong that shit, and like you're saying, it just makes it worse. I've been in that same boat. I've had people hit me up like, hey, man, can you make this? And I'm such a overly optimistic person that I'm like, yeah, I could do that, no problem. even if I've never done it before or not, I'll figure this shit out. You know, and there's been times where I'm like, dude, I don't give refunds, so I can make you something else, but this isn't gonna happen, you know, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, what happened with the job was my wife and I were going out to California to visit some relatives, and he hits me up like a couple of hours before I even get on the plane. It's like the whole time I'm out there, I'm thinking about his job. I get back, talk to him some more about it, and then I get injured, so I couldn't work for about a month or so. And then, I started doing the job, and it just, I just walked away from it. And the worst part was I didn't tell him. I just stopped. So, I mean, yeah. I want to officially apologize for it, and I'm going to be sending him a text and an email and probably call him this weekend.
Heck yeah.
It's just not right what I did. It really isn't.
Yeah, I'm sure he's understanding. Especially,
he's a really cool dude. He really is. I love his work.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. And just kind of, I don't know if you're aware, it's interesting, talking about the joints and that you're actually a scientific glass artist making tools for the pipe community, which is awesome. And I find it's kind of another, I don't know, ADD moment here, sidetrack thing, but I like how the scientific community has started to reach out to me to discuss your industry and the class that you guys have, in a sense, because it's such a group of people that I find that are highly intelligent. It's a whole different concept of glass blowing, and you got to have your head on your shoulders, in a sense, to do what you're doing. All this heavy equipment and the heat and the science and knowing your medium, like there's so much involved in it. And to hear that you're making tools for the pipe community is awesome. And you're also knowing that you are making different sizes for the evolution of our industry, because it's this industry in the last 5 years alone has evolved, leaps and bounds more than I ever thought it was going to go. Which is kind of cool. And going from like an 18 millimeter to a 10 mil to a 14 to 14 females, and like it's all back and forth. And now they're coming out with this 12 mil joint that's and tools as well. Blast Shield's one of the known companies out there that makes tools too. But so just for yourself, the 12 millimeter is the next. I don't know if it's gonna be the next big thing. If it's that in between size, who knows? But just for yourself, just might be helpful.
Well, just so I mean, into the pipe industry, I mean, the joints that are out there, I mean, we go from 7, 10, 12, 14, 19, 22, no, not 22, 24, 35. I mean, so, the 12s are already out there.
Right.
I mean, they're common. It's funny. It cracks me up. Like somebody say, "Oh, I want an 18 millimeter joint," and you hand them a 19, and they're like, "No, I wanted an 18." Well, do you know what the difference between an 18 and a 19 is? There is none.
Yeah.
The actual theoretical dimension is 18.8 millimeters.
Right, exactly.
So is it an 18 or a 19? Yeah.
And that's been a controversy for years, dude.
Yeah.
It's so funny because
it cracks me up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten away from the 19 mil. Everybody calls it 18s now, even though, like you're saying, it's like getting into 1-inch heavy wall tubing. It's like 25.4 millimeters. Just it's people want to say it's 26 or 25 or whatever. It's who gives a shit?
Right. I mean, there's so much variance in the glass size anyway. 25.4 or is it 25? Yeah. Really? That's the tolerance that you have on it anyway.
Yeah, it's weird though too, because like a lot of in this industry, a lot of the companies outside, the third-party companies that are making the nails and the accessories for all these joints, they have to be on top of it to understand their specifications. And the different companies have different thicknesses and different sizes, and the wall thickness is different, and it's all this weird shit. There's a standard, but there's not. So it's like you might have one company making A and one company making B, and A may fit in this joint, but B may not, even though they're specifically the same size. Right. It's just weird.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
And the variances, like you're saying, it shouldn't make a difference, but I guess in length, when you're doing measurements and stuff, it makes a difference. But in short term of millimeters, But if you get into the scientific application where they're using it for testing chemicals, or running pressure through it to see if it's going to explode and be able to hold whatever they're going to use it for, I guess that kind of variance is very important to be able to get it down to very certain specs that they're asking for.
Yeah. I mean, there's a spec on the actual taper. The taper is a 1 in 10, so every 10 millimeters it goes down by 1 millimeter. There's a spec on that because when you put two pieces together, they have to fit. And whether you buy it from, like in the scientific industry, whether you buy it from Chem, Ace, Andrews, VWR, Fisher, Corning, or whatever, they have to be interchangeable. Mm-hmm. So there is an actual government national spec on them. And, that's why, some joints will rock and some joints won't.
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess, which I think is kind of a fun topic, because like with the scientific glass blowing industry, it's been around for, I'm not gonna say forever, but it's been around forever. It's been way longer established than the pipe industry has been, and the pipe industry is now kind of getting into its teenage years in a sense. So there's still some streamlining that needs to get done with that kind of stuff. Where like when in the scientific industry, it's already there, it's already established, and people refer to it, but they don't necessarily take it specifically from the scientific glass community to bring it into our world, which to me makes all the sense in the world that we should be doing that. We should be taking references from something that's already existing instead of trying to create the wheel all over again.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also times when somebody, like I do this a lot going through hardware stores, I'll see something and go, oh yeah, I can use that for this. And it's not what it's supposed to be used for.
Right.
So, I'm assuming, taking a big leap here, when the first pipes were coming out, somebody saw a joint and said, yeah, I want that. I want to use that. And then never really had the background or the understanding what it's really used for. Mm-hmm. And then it just went its own way. And for a number of years, the scientific side looked down on the pipe side. They're, hooligans and whatever, bad people, and stay away from them. But a lot of the attitude towards that has changed with the glass blowers, with the scientific glass blowers. They're realizing, these people are talented. They can do stuff we can't do, but yet we can do stuff they can't do. And, we're all in the same boat, basically. Mm-hmm. We're still buying from the same people pretty much. We might be a little bit more technical and a little bit more exact, but, we're still glass blowers.
Yeah, exactly, and I feel the same way. It's growing up here where I'm at in Florida, we have a local art community, and I was one of a few glass blowers here in town or flame workers or lamp workers, I should say. And even though I was making pipes, I really wasn't my focus. My focus was just learning my medium and making jewelry and pendants. And the guys that were here locally that were the furnace workers at the time, that were the bigger names, that are even still big names here and brands in our town, you mentioned that you're a lamp worker or whatever, and they'd like, oh, you must make pipes, or, and they mumble into their breath kind of bullshit. Mm-hmm. It was like they kind of wanted to, kind of shun you out of their whole circle. And, I'm finding that it's been coming around little by little, like you're saying. Like they're realizing that there's actually real talent that's going on. It's not just a bunch of stoner hippie guys trying to make a living, or trying to make money to buy their drugs, kind of bullshit. It's people that are taking this shit real seriously. Especially when you have guys that are going to school for scientific glass blowing, coming out and getting into the pipe industry and using that knowledge, Because like you're saying, like I remember for the longest time, like the water pipe was usually a little small beaker with a rubber grommet and had to have a handmade slide and a joint and the whole 9 yards in it, or it was a plastic tube that was the same kind of setup. And then once the scientific joint first came out, we're all like, oh, this is freaking awesome. And the downstem was removable, so it was all super scientific. And then it started getting fine-tuned, and the low-profile downstems came out, and then the slide came out, and then as the cannabis industry evolved, then the glass function had to evolve as well, with going into the concentrates and everything else that's now out there in the medical industry. And so all of it's had to evolve, and it's all gotten very scientific, from all the old tree perks that were in pieces. I mean, all this little stacking and all this amazing lathe work. And now you got guys that are making stuff that looks like it was made on a lathe, but there was no lathe involved at all. There's maybe some bench rollers and their torch.
Yeah,
You
oh,
know.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of talented people out there. I mean, one of the other things, like in the scientific industry, one glass blower usually never talk to another about glass because you don't want that person to take your job.
Yeah.
You know, there was that much of a rivalry within the scientific community, and now people, you know, we're talking more. There's more outlets, and you know, the information's really getting around more.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And especially with now with the online communities and social media and everything else, it's definitely it's open source in a sense. I like to use that term, even though I mean it is, but it's not. We don't have patents
Yeah,
and shit, but it still is the idea is theirs. I mean, hell, I never
right.
thought in a million years I'd be doing a radio show talking about glass blowing and sharing stories and information and how to run businesses and techniques and stuff.
Hmm.
Much less now guys are learning from YouTube, which is just pretty fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had talking about YouTube. A friend of mine does clay sculptures, and he hit me up one day. He goes, "Hey, can you make an eyeball?" And sure, yeah. What do I do? Hit the computer, YouTube, how to make a glass eye. And then I was like, okay, I made about 3 dozen of them for him, and then I started playing around with the colors. Like instead of just having like a black pupil, a blue ring around it, and then the white for the eyeball, I was doing like blacks, reds, greens, oranges. He got a kick out of them.
Yeah, I
I
bet.
did some with a square iris instead of a round,
Heck yeah.
and that was like my first real dive into millies and stuff like that, and stringers, and really playing around with color.
Nice. Is that when you started kind of getting yourself into more of the artistic glasses also, or was that kind of in the middle of it?
That was kind of in the middle of it. My wife and I took a pendant class at Carlisle, and it was the first time she ever did glass, and I've been doing glass, so it wasn't the first time for me. And we made some pendants, and then we started. One of the first real jobs when I went out on my own was making wine crafts, and so I would go to a fair, and I would have some wine crafts and a bunch of pendants, and that's how I really started. And then the scientific side of my business got a little bit too big, and I stopped doing the pendants. And my wife's busy, so she doesn't do anything anymore. But it was pretty much the pendants, and then I stopped doing them, so I got some color left over. And my one friend hit me up for eyeballs, and did them, and now it's all clear. Everything is clear.
Yeah. Yeah, I like clear. I used to use a shit ton of color, and I kind of got away from it at the time because of budgets, but also I got to find where I really liked how the scientific, and for me, it's the scientific side of things. The being able to have the clarity of the glass and seeing how it resonates and all the spectrums of light that comes through it and everything else, and then really shows how your quality of your work is done.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The thing that I enjoy is I used to get some repair work, and I've worked with lead glass, borosilicate, and quartz. And seeing the difference in quality between those three, like boro and lead, you can flow. I mean, it looks smooth, no sharp edges, nothing. Quartz looks like somebody glued stuff together, and that's perfectly acceptable because it's quartz.
Mm-hmm.
And me kind of being a little bit of a perfectionist, I'm like, that doesn't work for me. And I would get my quartz flowing, or smooth, I should say. It doesn't flow. I can have a quartz piece and a boro piece sitting next to each other, and you couldn't tell the difference.
Interesting. So you really would get the clarity out of the quartz?
I'd get the clarity, I'd get the smoothness of the seams, and everything. I mean, it takes time, and sometimes you got to heat in the wrong spot, but you can get it real nice and clear.
Hell yeah. So what's the molecular melting point for quartz?
It's hot.
Yeah, like 6,000 degrees or some shit. Because I've gotten quartz, like rods that we used to use for punnies for fuming, because the gold stuck to it real nice, because it wouldn't melt the rod. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna play with this, trying to pull a stringer out, and I couldn't get it hot enough to move the shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, it depends on the size of your stringer. I mean, when I work with quartz, I use propane. I don't use hydrogen.
Okay.
And I work up to, I think 70 millimeter is 60. 60 is the biggest I've done with propane.
Wow.
And you have to have the right equipment to do it, but you can do it. But yeah, you got to get it white hot, and you can't take it out of the flame to shape it. You shape it in the flame.
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
as soon as it's out of the flame, you could pretty much forget it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
gone.
It's so stiff. It's like it's like, holy shit, this is already hard. And like you're saying, you're just taking it out of the flame, and it's already solid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the thing I find amusing with quartz is it's very brittle. If you take like a 3-rod of quartz, you can bend it a little bit, but you put a little nick in it, and it'll just pop.
Yeah.
Where if you have a piece of boro that's 3, you can bend it a little bit more, and even with a nick in it, you can still bend it a little bit. But quartz it's hard, but it's brittle.
Is that because of how the manufacturing process is, or is it just the chemical makeup of quartz?
It's just a chemical makeup of quartz.
Yeah.
Just the way it is.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's so neat, and I like talking about the glass because like you're saying, there's so many different variations, of it. Like even Mike was saying when I talked to him, he's like, you can change the formula by like such a small little bit and have infinite amounts of types of glass you can produce. It's amazing thinking about the structure of what can go into it. So with the quartz, like what were you doing? Oh, go on. You're about to say something.
I was going to say, like with the different recipes for the glass, if you look at Simex, Corning, and Schott, they all have a different tint to the glass.
Mm-hmm.
They're all 33 expansion, so they're all the same, but they seal different, they work different, and they look different.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're all borosilicate. So each company has their own little recipe that they use, and sometimes they don't seal together well.
Yeah, it's true. I know what you mean, because I know I've put 2 pieces of different kind of glass. Like I use a Chinese rod and sometimes for punnies, and I'll punny up that to like some Simex, and you can see the difference in like almost like a wave in the glass, where like when you see heat coming off the ground, you get that little bit of a vapor kind of look. It looks like that in the glass. It's such a neat. I shouldn't say neat, but it's just a weird variance that you get between the 2 different types of glass. Because I know when I teach classes, I always have a couple different brands on hand to show people, my students. When you hold a cross section of the glass in the light, you can look at it and tell by the color of the glass more or less what the hell kind of glass it is, brand wise.
Right.
And typically, the clearer and the higher quality of the glass, the more blue you're going to get out of the glass. Like the Chinese is like a really heavy green, or like some really nice Simex or some Schott is like, it's almost like this really pretty, almost like a glacier blue, kind of thing. And I've always referred to like glaciers, and that water that's in the icebergs and stuff, and how clear and transparent and how pretty that blue is. It's because of the kind of the purities of the water, I guess, that's in there.
I think it's more of the just the crap they put in there to make it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it like
I don't think it really is the if it's more pure or not. It's just what they use to make it.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because that's like part of my questions I'm getting together for Sousa for our little myth busting episode.
He's the one you really want to talk to. I mean, I may have been I am in the industry for a long time. I really don't know that much. I can get the job done, and I have friends that I can ask if I have problems. Mm-hmm. But, really technical, Sousa's the man. He really is.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, man, because like I find that in glass in general, there are 2 different types of us. There's the Mike Sousas, and then there's the you.
Yeah.
Because I'm the you. Like I do research, and I know some things, but I mostly like learn as I go, hands-on, figure this shit out. I've been making mistakes in this glass industry for so long that I've gotten away with that. I didn't realize I was, quote unquote, doing something wrong because I was getting away with it. And now with all these new colors that are coming out, I can't do those same things I used to do because now they don't work the same with the glass I'm using. And learning how to like not run a color or something specifically through like 4 kiln cycles because I'm killing the glass. Where like I could use cobalt all day long and have it run through 20 cycles, and maybe it'll reduce a little bit and get some red tone to it sometimes. But other than that, you can beat the shit out of that stuff, And I use a Carlisle, which is even a rougher torch than some of the GTT that's out now and the Bethlehems and stuff. So it's kind of funny. Like I love the science and that's involved with it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm the same way. I'm not an expert when it comes to it, which is again why I wanted to do this show, because I'm just as curious as you are about how the hell this shit works.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating. I think one of the big things is like the difference between Sousa and me is that I am myself in my own little business, in my own little world, where Sousa works at a university and he gets all kinds coming in. So he has to figure out this, has to figure out that. You have a research student that wants this done. Can it be done? So he comes across more in the world than I do, and so he's a lot more knowledgeable about stuff because of that. If you work in a university as compared to just a production worker in a bigger company.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because like he's saying, we're doing research on dark matter. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh yeah, he has some fascinating stories. Oh, yeah, he's a definitely good guy. I mean, there's a lot of good guys out there, but I mean, he's one that's really gone from hop the fence, if you want to call it that, where he knows a lot of the artistic people and a lot of the scientific. So he's like right there on the fence. Yeah,
it's good. We need that. Look, we all need that kind of influence in our industries, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So, in the art side, what are you doing now? That's artistic.
Oh gosh, mugs.
Yeah.
That's about it, really. That's it.
Nice. I mean, it's fun.
I do a wine craft maybe once a year, and it's mostly for a charity that my wife belongs to. I started doing some wine glasses, heavy wine glasses. They're made out of 5 mil tubing, so I mean there's weight to them.
Yeah.
People love them. Oh my gosh, they love them. And that's about it.
Do they have a full stem and foot, or is it just a cup?
Full stem and foot.
Hell yeah. Or is that on a torch you're doing that, or is that on the lathe?
I do it on lathe. I'm lazy. I do it on lathe. I have a couple of lathes. Might as well use them.
Yeah, hell yeah.
My hand skills are horrible because I've always, I started off on lathe and I do a lot of stuff on lathe. I didn't have to start with my hands. I started with lathe. So right. my hand skills, I don't want to say are horrible, but they're not the best. Yeah,
it's definitely a different world, man. Because like I've done a little bit of lathe work, and it was the difference I didn't like about it was not being able to angle the material to get the glass to flow the direction I wanted it to go. I had to learn to chuck it up and slide it back and forth on the cradle and everything else to really get things to move in a direction I wanted it to move. And it was still like, man, this is weird.
It is.
It is. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do stuff up to about a liter, like a 1 liter flask, which is about like 6-inch diameter or something, on the bench. But anything bigger, I'm not going to kill my arm while trying to hold it.
Yeah.
So I just throw it in the lathe.
So what got you into the bench rollers? Was that more of a need in the industries?
I had a couple of friends that were looking for a set of rollers, and they're like, we can't find them. And I had seen a pair, and I modeled mine kind of off of it. And then I found the company that actually made them, and I'm like, theirs are really nice. I said, I'm leaving mine the way they are. Mine are raw. They're not painted. They'll surface rust. You could paint them if you want, whatever. But where the glass touches the metal, it's all stainless. So that's not going to rust. It just came about, somebody wanted something and couldn't find it. And I had the idea and I put it together.
Yeah. Some good entrepreneurial spirit there, man. It's a way to do
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah. Where there's a need, there's a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I found the way.
What kind of rollers are they? Are they like a V shape, or are they like the flat wheel style?
Like a flat wheel style. I'm assuming that. I'm guessing that's what you mean.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rectangle that's got two different rows of wheels in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've seen those before, and I've wanted to get into them. Do you have them so that they're made on a stand so they can be raised up, elevated, or is it more of a you got to mount them to something?
They're more of they're about the size of a Kleenex box.
Okay.
Or maybe a little bit different shape, but I mean they're about like that, and you just set them on your table.
Okay.
And they're the rollers on them are 6 inches long.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they'll hold a piece of 8mm all the way up to I think I've put on a 350 millimeter tubing on them.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was just to show that they can handle that size.
Yeah, that's a hell of a test. God.
Yeah.
What's that, like 10 inches or some shit? That's huge. Jesus, 350 millimeters.
12?
Yeah.
12? I think it's 12.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I have there's some pictures on my Facebook page that have them, and they show, one roller with the 8 and another one with a HSA planetary on it, which is about 350, next to each other. So you can see that, what it could handle and everything in between.
Hell yeah. So what's your Facebook page?
It's my name, Christopher Bock.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure those are in the show notes, and I'll ask you again at the end to let us know about all that good stuff, where we can find you and what have you.
Sure. Sounds good.
So to move forward, I guess, to talk about like your journey through this process and the physical side of it. Are you finding aches and pains and injuries and dealing with any kind of carpal tunnel or any of that kind of shit? Because I know we had talked about soccer and stuff and dealing with leg issues and knees and stuff, but are you finding anything else in your upper body or in your shoulders and that kind of stuff?
A lot of it depends on what job I'm doing. There was one job where my right shoulder got really strong and really developed, and my left shoulder was really weak. And my masseuse was like, "Chris, what are you doing differently? This one's really developed and this one's not." And it was a job I was doing. I was holding a hand torch, basically hold your arm straight out, and I was holding my torch that way for like 15 minutes at a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So my right shoulder was all developed and strong, and it threw out my back. I was leaning to the side too much, and I couldn't sleep straight. I wasn't walking straight. So I had to change, my position for that job. My knees hurt. I've had surgery on both my knees. And, when it starts raining, they hurt.
Yeah.
My hands, luckily, are okay. I mean, I've done a lot of damage to them, but, they don't hurt yet. And my eyes are kind of screwed up.
Is it from the glass?
I don't think it's from the glass. I think it's because I don't wear my glasses. I have prescription glasses that I should be wearing like right now, and I'm not.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
It's not that, I'm not wearing my didymiums. Oh, I wear them all the time, but I should be wearing glasses when I'm not working, and I don't.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, dude. And you know what I find for myself personally, I don't wear my regular glasses anymore because I have my other glasses on so much that I would get headaches and get dizzy spells and feel weird going between the two, especially because I wasn't wearing them that much. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm not wearing these anymore. And I don't want to wear contacts, obviously, when we're dealing with heat and drying them out and getting them stuck to my eyeballs or some shit.
Right.
I got to invest in some prescription didymiums. I mean, just what it comes down to. But they're like, $500, which...
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
In the long run...
I found my personal glasses, I don't like the way they fit, and I like the way my didymiums fit.
Mm-hmm.
But I look like a dork in those frames, and my wife doesn't want me out in those frames because I look like a dork.
Right.
So, it's kind of like a lose-lose. I just can't find a comfortable pair of glasses.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, dude, with the glasses, because like I've had my pair now for man, 8 years, I think. Like, thank God, knock on wood, they've lasted me this long. I really just take care of them. Like, I had a pair before these that one of the screws had come loose on the frame, and I was pulling my son out of his crib, and I had him hanging on my eye straps around my chest, and I was taking him out of the crib, and the lens popped out and hit the floor and broke, and it was like, oh, shit, there goes $200 in a freaking lens, you know?
Right.
So the new ones I've had for almost eight years now, and I wear them on stage at Disney, and I had to make sure that when I bought these things, I wasn't thinking about down the road, but I'm glad I did, because they're not stylish, but they kind of are stylish, you know, enough to where I can be comfortable wearing them in public. You know, but the only problem is that they look like sunglasses, kind of. So people automatically assume that, oh, well, he's wearing sunglasses, so I can put sunglasses on too and just stare at the flame. And I always tell them, like, you know, I'm not wearing regular sunglasses. These are for my glass and for what I'm doing. So you have this false sense of security right now that you're going to ruin your eyes if you continue doing what you're doing. You know, I've guests that come in the store, bro, and they sit there for 45 minutes to an hour, and I got to tell them, like, I have people that come in with their kids, like little babies. Like, oh, look at the fire. And I'm like, y'all need to understand that your kids' eyes are developing right now, and this is the worst thing for them. You know? Even if they can't understand what I'm saying, I still try to be, I don't know if it's the parent in me or what the hell, but, you know, it's still definitely something I'm cautious about with people coming in and looking. But, again, you know.
I have a pair of glasses that are prescription. The first company I worked for actually paid for them, and I still have them. And they were bifocals, because I close up I'm okay, but it's a distance I can't see worth crap. So I still have them, and those are my daily glasses. They're scratched, and you can't look. If you look straight out, they're scratched. So you kind of have to look either up or down. But I mean, they're the workhorse. I mean, I love them. And then I got another pair just as a replacement, and they lasted about 2 weeks. I got pissed off at a job, and I threw them across the room, and it just shattered them.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So what was not to hate to ask and bring up old memories, but what was the job that you were getting frustrated with?
I was sealing a joint on the side of a piece of tubing, and the joint kept slipping. And when I would move my head, the glasses would move just a little bit, and they were just annoying me. And then I got to the point where, you know, I was right at that breaking point, and the tubing cracked. And I was like, that's it. I just flung the glasses right across the room, shut everything off, and walked away.
Yeah.
And then came back the next day and cleaned everything up. And then I was very mad at myself for breaking the glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they were new.
Man, I've done some dumb shit like that, bro. I've done one time. I've had one meltdown on stage, and I had a couple times in my yard. And years ago, when I was at my ex-wife's, we had a new addition we were putting on the house, and I had to clean up the backyard for the foundation to be put in. And so there was this big pile of grass and leaves and shit, and whatever I was making, I was like, fuck this, and I threw it out of the studio, and not realizing it went into that pile of leaves and immediately caught the whole damn thing on fire. And I was like, oh my God. So I got my water bucket out, and it's full of glass, and I didn't give a shit, and I dumped that on top of the thing. And so now I got molten hot glass and fire and burnt leaves, and it was like, yeah, it was a clusterfuck. I think I took the day off, went to the beach or something after my mess.
Sometimes you just have to leave. You just have to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know sometimes I get really frustrated, and you know, I just want to do the Hulk and just smash.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was one time I was ready just to put my hand through the wall, and I'm like, just right there, ready just to let it go, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to fix it. I'm gonna have to cut the drywall. I'm gonna have to patch it. I'm gonna have to paint it. I'm gonna have to tell my wife I did it, and I'm like, oh, and I just stop.
Yeah, and be also maybe fixing all that shit with a cast on your arm. You know? Yeah.
Because knowing me, I'd hit the stud.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, yeah, it's funny, man, because like I with this new influx of glass artists and these guys and girls that want to get into it, you know, and I've been watching some of these forums on Facebook and whatever, and seeing people complaining like, oh, I've been doing this for 2 months and I've spent all this fucking money and I'm wasting my time and what the fuck. I'm like, dude, either shut up and get over yourself or sell all your shit, because this is just the beginning. Like, it gets worse from here, trust me.
Oh, it does. It absolutely does. I mean, you really have to have the patience and just stick through it. You know, don't try and do something complicated. Do something simple.
Yeah.
You know, blow a bubble
and
try not to break it, and try and blow it even.
Yeah.
You know, make a blob at the end of a rod. You know, try and keep it straight. Seal 2 rods together and try and keep them straight.
Yeah.
Simple shit.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a full color pipe in a day, your first day. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
This shit's not easy.
Yeah, absolutely. It just takes time and dedication, and getting frustrated and pissed off, and knowing how to walk away and then go back to it.
Yeah, and knowing how to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's the key. Where I really learned a lot was fixing my own problems.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I screwed this piece up. Let me fix it before the boss comes and sees it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I would get people, hey, Chris, I screwed this up. Can you come over and fix it? Because they know I could fix it.
Yeah.
So then I was known as a repairman.
Mm.
Something was kind of screwy, and bring it to Chris. Oh shit, the piece cracked. How can I heal it up so you can't see it?
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, in the sense too, you're like, no, you need to learn that shit yourself. But I guess if you're good at it, you might as well do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of it is, like, if you have a piece of tubing that cracks, if you're going to heat it from the outside and the crack is outside and inside, you got to heat all through that glass to heal the inside.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get a nice soft fire and go on the inside, well, now you're not heating all the way through. You're only having to heat halfway.
Yeah.
And you can seal up a crack and have it look beautiful, and not even, later on, not even see it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think in the pipe industry, one of the I don't know what you want to call it, evolutions or whatever, but one of the newer, the past couple of years, are the hand torches and blow hoses that we're using now, and and a lot more. And I honestly, it took me up until about 2 years ago to get my whole setup, and which is, once I got it, I was like, why haven't I had this for like 10 years? Like, this is fucking stupid. Because I was able to do that. I was able to flare a piece open and go inside the wall and just touch a couple spots up that had cracked, like you're saying, and I could just completely heal it and clean it up to where you would never know. The glass has the memory, but my memory is not going to be there anymore because I don't see it.
Right.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important. It's just, you got to be able to do that stuff. And again, it's knowing the foundation that you get from starting the process of all your basics to be able to get to that point to where you're medium enough to be able to fix it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I had talking about blow hoses. I went for an interview at one of the companies I eventually worked for, and the guy goes, "Make this," and it was something real simple. And I didn't have a blow hose with me, so I, blowing through the end of the tube and everything. And the boss walks over and he goes, "You're not on the beach. This isn't a theater. Get a fucking blow hose." And I'm like, okay. A lot of people don't use blow hoses. Well, in the scientific industry, what are you going to do? Take the piece out of the lathe every time you got to blow into it?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's funny. That was when I first got on the lathe, that was my biggest difficulty, was figuring out what the hell kind of swivel joint to use on there to make sure that my hose wasn't getting all twisted up. Trying to really, that was like, because again, we bought a lathe. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I flew a friend in town to help me learn how to run this thing. And he wasn't that experienced, so we were learning to kind of together. He knew more than I did, but like you're saying, those simple things like that, like just getting a blow hose on a tube that's in a chuck and have it centered and squared and everything's good to go. I have a whole new respect for lathe workers when I first got on that lathe. It's just especially when the variances that you have to have, if your thing's off, your chucks are off by a millimeter, it's going to screw everything up down the road. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I could go hell bent on tolerances on lathes and people being idiots.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if your chuck is way off, you're going to have a nightmare. An absolute nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you gotten into building lathes from the scratch kind of deal, or are you mostly just into fixing and repairing?
Mostly just fixing and repairing. I don't want to build a lathe from scratch. To build a good one, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
There's so many out there as there is. I just don't have the time. It's easier to get a used lathe or one of the newer ones that are coming out.
Yeah, I saw somebody had posted there's a new company launching a new lathe that's like I want to say it was under $3,000, I don't remember who it was, but it was supposed to be like some high quality new model coming out. I don't know. That's super affordable. Because like
Well,
I know.
there's
Yeah. Oh, go on.
I'm gonna say there's a Red Star, American lathes, which I think also goes under AZ lathes. There's Littons, Bethlehems, Heathways. I know there's a guy in, I think, South Carolina who's starting to import some India lathes.
Okay.
And those he's saying, I think, are like 3,500.
Yeah, maybe that's what it
door.
was. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's beating up the India lathes, but, for $3,500, if they last a year, you're going to make your money on them.
Oh yeah, you make your money if you're good. You make your money in the first week potentially.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's kind of funny that you got that topic of the whole beating up the other countries. Like I'm all about supporting American work and the glass here, the manufacturing process, and I understand, which sucks, why these companies are having their glass made overseas. I get it. It's to keep costs low so we can afford to buy the stuff. But the products that are coming out of these, like India, there's some color I've used out of India that's amazing, and it's colors that you can't get in American colors. It's the palette they have there is a little different, and we use it over at Disney on some of our stuff because, like I said, the colors we have to use for certain of some of our characters have to be specific to Disney standards for these characters. And like we use like an India green, and we use purple also out of India, and they work fantastic. There's no COE compatibility issues, nothing at all. The quality is great. Now, I understand the labor going into manufacturing may not be always good. The people are worried about the sweatshops and that kind of shit. I get that.
Well, the other thing is not just the sweatshops; it's also the environmental regulations.
Right.
You look at China and their smog that they have because of their industry.
Yeah.
It looks like a fog at noon where you can barely see.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's going to catch up to them. It may take them a number of years or a couple of generations, but it's going to catch up to them, and then they're going to have the same regulations that we have.
Yeah, it's interesting bringing that up with the whole. I don't know if you've heard with the whole cadmium thing going on right now. And
yeah, I heard about that.
And I had heard some whispers with a couple companies that weren't even in the Boro world, that are more of the soft glass guys and the whatever, that were having to deal with these issues, and now it's reached over into our industry. And I hate to say that I'm glad it's happened, but I'm glad it's happened because I feel like the growth has been so fast that the regulations haven't been set to standardize really the full amount of testing, and like you're saying, the environmental impact it's going to have. Like North Star right now with Abe, he's all about like, we're going to try to be as zero emissions as we possibly can be to be able to manufacture this stuff, which I think is awesome.
It is. Yeah, it's great.
It has to be, because I know part of my concern has always been exposure to this stuff, whether I'm using clear or color. And we're dealing with heavy metals, and I don't really use silver or gold anymore, the fuming of it, just because I don't want to have that extra exposure, even if it's not necessarily that toxic for me. But I know it is, especially in the long run buildup.
Well, just get a big exhaust fan, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Get one that'll suck the speck of dust from like 500 feet away.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem is
put it in your window and turn it on, but have no way of getting fresh air in.
Right, exactly. And that's the problem that you run into, right?
I worked at a company that was that way. They had two big exhaust fans, and I was doing quartz at the time, and I had a little exhaust hood. And in the wintertime, they would have the exhaust fans on, and I'd have my exhaust hood on, and I would actually be getting cold air being pulled back through.
Jeez, yeah.
Because they wouldn't open a window. They wouldn't open a door. There was no way of getting fresh air in. So what they were doing is pulling the exhaust from the heaters back in. They were pulling the air back through my hood, and if you tried to open the door to get out, you had to fight with the door to get out. But yet there was no problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's part of what I preach for the show. It's like, people that have their studios connected to their house, and the ventilation systems are really good. But if it's in the wintertime, they're sucking all the heat out of their house, or potential carbon monoxide issues they're going to be dealing with, if they have a furnace in their house.
Right.
But then when you have your fresh air coming in from the outside, you got to think about how that air is actually flowing into your studio so that it doesn't come across your bench and screw up the airflow going out and through your ventilation. Because it's like we've done some smoke tests in our shop trying to figure out like the proper setting for low and high and whatever for the right volume, and There's some serious fine tuning you got to do to really experiment with it, and depending again what you're making too, it makes a huge difference. You know, and I've been exposed to this shit for 17 years, and I got blood work done back in December. Right, I literally worked a full shift in our new studio space. Went and got blood work done and my urine test and shit, and came up clean. Like nothing was there, which is good.
Great.
Yeah, that's what I said, man.
Yeah.
I was excited, and I've been sharing that with the people on the show just so they know. But it's still important. I think everybody annually needs to get a physical, get your eyes checked, get all your blood work done, your urine test and shit, and all that stuff. You know, because like talking to some folks a couple weeks ago about this, part of the issue we can potentially deal with, especially with the cadmiums, is dealing with like bladder cancer and stuff because of the filtration process of, you know, our bladder and what it does and our kidneys and liver and stuff. And you know, that stuff, it eventually gets through our body, but then it gets stuck in that area of like our, you know, our filtration system in our bodies that just builds up and builds up and builds up, and you don't realize it until all of a sudden you got some fucking tumors or cancer or some crazy shit going on.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean, there's a lot more to building a shop than just, oh, I got an exhaust fan, I got a torch, and I got a window.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot more to it. You know, you gotta. I mean, I don't have a really big exhaust fan or anything. I don't fume. I just work clear. You know, I'm attached to the house. You know, I work out of the garage, and you know, I have in the wintertime, I'll crack the garage door, and the way it'll flow, you know, it'll pull everything out. And I have a little fan up on the ceiling, so you know, pulling the heat out. But you know, it keeps the garage clean enough and clear enough where I have no problems. But you know, if I was fuming or something like that, working with a lot of color, oh yeah, my setup would be completely different. Yeah, completely different.
Yeah, it's amazing how just burning a torch, how you can really tell when it takes the oxygen out of the air. You know, and it's we don't have good airflow. It's like you can walk into some places and you're like, oh my god, you can just smell that there's no oxygen in the room. You know,
now I worked at one place that had air conditioning, and that was a fun place to work at. In the summer when it's 90 degrees, it's nice and 70 inside. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they worked hard to be able to do that. I mean, they put good money into it, but I mean, it was a wonderful place to work. You walked in there, everything smelled so clean. You know, they cleaned it every 3 days.
Wow.
I think Wednesday and Friday they cleaned. So, I mean, it was a really nice place to work at.
Yeah, that's how I am at Disney. I'm in the air there. Last summer I went seasonal there, and August here was hell on earth when the amount of heat. I mean, the heat this year was unbearable. I mean, I was doing 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. shifts, and even then it was like I was sweating my ass off. Just get spoiled in that air conditioner. You know?
Yeah, you do. You absolutely do.
And then people are like, why are you cold? It's like 90 degrees out. I'm like, dude, I deal with thousands of degrees. If it's below 90 degrees, I get chilly.
Yeah. I had one of my bosses go, Chris, you're nuts. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, it's a dead of winter. There's 3 inches of snow on the ground, and you're in shorts. I'm like, I'm walking 15 feet from my car to the door.
Right.
I can put on a jacket, but when I'm inside, you know, I was doing course at the time, and I'm like, it's hot. I want to be cool. You know, I can put stuff on if I'm cold outside, but you know, and I had a remote start on my car too.
Nice.
So before I'd leave, I'd hit it, and you know, it'd warm up. By the time I got to the car, it was nice and warm. You know, I had leather seats and, you know, heated leather seats, so I was fine.
Yeah, all those essentials you got to have when you're living in the snow.
Yes. Oh gosh, yeah. And then eventually we got rid of the car, and my wife was like, I missed the heated seats.
Yeah.
I'm like, I missed a remote start.
My buddy right now has been driving this new Durango around, and it's got, I mean, it's got all that. It's got the air heated seats and cooled seats. But now the fucking cup holders, you can change the temperature in the cup holders. So if you have coffee, it keeps it warm, and if you have a cold drink, it keeps it cold.
Yeah. I saw one car. I forget what car it was. The center console was a cooler.
Oh, wow.
Where, you know, it could be off and just be a center console, or it could heat or cool. And I forget what car it was that I saw that in. And I was like, really? Do you really need that? And I'm like, yeah, you really do.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah, because I know, like, yesterday I was 2 hours on the road. Oh, I would have a nice cold drink would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of getting it cold and then it warms up, and the ice dilutes what's in it, and yeah, but I'm not going to splurge. I'll just bring a cooler.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I get one that I could plug into a cigarette lighter.
Yeah, there you go. Be great for tailgating though, or some kind of something.
Oh yeah, they're great that way.
Yeah, that'd be killer. Hell yeah, man. So, anything else you want to share about us too with the with your business that you got going on? Not the glass stuff, but with the are you? Because I thought I saw you were doing tables and stuff like that too. Was that right?
Turntables.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, basically, you just turn them on. They just spin at one speed, and you could put your work on it to either warm in, warm out, or let it warm in, turn it off, and work on it, and turn it back on. Those came about in the scientific industry. You use them mostly in the production shops because you don't have time to warm a piece out. So you'd throw it on that, let it warm out, and work on the next piece. And you can also stage it to like warm in. So your piece is warm, you grab it off that, work it, put it, just move it right down the line. Those are the turntables. I do them. We talked about the adjustable bench rollers, hand tools. Pretty much that's it. I do buy and sell some other equipment every once in a while. I do a lot of work on lathes now. Warner Siegel, wonderful, wonderful guy that's been in the industry, gosh, years. He's up in age now. I was just talking to him yesterday because I got a lathe off of him. He's retiring. He's the name that everybody sends their stuff, their lathes to get worked on. When he goes, who's going to be there?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm picking up for him, but little by little, I'm working on lathes here and there. Next week, I'm getting 2 GL50s to work on. I have a Lytton double E that I'm working on now. I have a Bethlehem GL100 that's going out west. Oh gosh, I just sold one of my F lathes, and I have 3 lathes now that are mine. So, I'm working on lathes, here and there. There's a need. There's a need for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially with the pipe industry, the way it's grown leaps and bounds. I'm sure there's always people that are needing their lathes adjusted, or they buy them refurbished and they're not quite on, and they got to get them adjusted. And
yeah, well, the thing that really cracks me up is I see people post stuff all the time. Oh, my chuck's off center. It has a run out of 1/1000th of an inch. Your glass has a greater bow tolerance than that.
Yeah.
So do you really need it that straight?
Yeah, that makes sense, man, because I remember working on the lathe and I thought the chucks were off, and it was actually the tubing that I was using wasn't perfectly straight.
Mm-hmm. There's a job I do where I get tubing. It's shot, specialty drawn, specialty made just for this one customer. It's a 4-foot length of tubing. It can bow as much as 3/8 of an inch in the center.
Wow.
And that's considered straight.
That's so weird.
For that tubing.
Yeah.
So, if your chucks are dead on, the tubing's not.
Yeah.
It's going to be off. So I've been able to work around it. I'm not doing too much to it, but your tubing has a greater tolerance of being off than your chucks. And people fret over the littlest things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Just got to get her done. Just turn on your torch and get to work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's too funny. So to kind of move forward with we had talked previously about the crashing the kiln round, and since you don't really do a lot of color and what have you, I still want to cover some of the questions in here.
Sure, go for it. I was kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Well, shit, we can go ahead and do it. If you want to go through the whole process, we can. I'm all about it.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll go through the whole process.
Okay. Well, before we do, let's take a quick minute to take a break and thank our sponsors, and then we will come back and we will crash the kiln. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/WiseGuyRadio. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. That's at www.audibletrial.com, AUDIBLETRIAL.com/WiseGuyRadio. All right, man, we are back. Quick break. So, yeah, man, so the Crashing and Killing round, it consists of 6 questions. Give me a 30 to 60-second answer to these questions and expound upon them if you'd like, as people usually do. And the first question I always like to ask is if there's any living glass artist that you have not yet worked with. Who is it and why?
Oh, gosh. There's so many great artists out there. The one that comes to mind is Kiva Ford. I know him. I've seen his work. I've stood next to him as he did something. He's just, to me, he's just very smooth in what he does. He does a lot of small stuff, like the size of a quarter. You know, like a goblet the size of a quarter, and it's detailed. He just amazes me. But I mean, there's tons of artists out there, I mean, that are just phenomenal. But, you know, Kiva's the one that just keeps coming to mind.
Yeah, actually, I reached out to him yesterday to bring him on the show.
Oh, please do. He is hilarious. He's a good guy. He really is.
Yeah, his work, when I first saw his work a couple years ago on Instagram, I was like, who's this guy? So we started chatting back and forth and stuff. And yeah, his handwork, because he doesn't do a lot of lathe stuff. He's a lot of flame torch work stuff. And it's amazing to see the cleanness, quality miniature inside of miniature, and it's like, you know, the nesting egg type shit, you know, the nesting dolls.
Oh yeah. Well, he when he was doing his apprentice work, or very early on in his career, the person that was showing him how to do work, even though they had a lathe, said, you're going to do everything by hand because you're not always going to have a lathe. So he learned how to put like center necks on flasks on the bench, you know, by hand.
Right.
You know, it's so easy to just chuck them up in the lathe and you're done. So he really had a good foundation for his hand skills.
Yeah, I think that's so important, though, that foundation, to have that.
It is. I don't have that foundation, and I wish I did.
Yeah, but, you know, I think I do agree with what you're saying. I think, though, in the scientific industry, it's not necessarily a requirement per se. Where like in the pipe industry, it is and it isn't. It depends on what you're doing, but it's nice to still have that in your toolbox. Yeah,
I agree. I definitely agree. You can get away with not having good hand skills in the scientific community. Yeah,
interesting. So what are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
I like cobalt. I love that color. It's kind of like a transparent blue, but can be solid blue, and that's a favorite one. I like looking at the Glass Alchemy Goblin chart that they have, and just looking at the colors, and like it starts off at this color, and if you do other stuff, it goes that color. I like a lot of the clears, the red, the clear reds. I like looking at them. I really don't do too much color. I wish I could do more, but I really just don't.
Hell yeah. Well, we can leave it at that. It kind of covers the bases.
Yeah. You know, the chart's there. I like it. So
yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah. If you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, what is it?
I have to say joke. And it sounds crazy, but it reminds me of a joke someone played on somebody. So whenever I hear it, the first thing that comes to my mind is that joke, where a guy had spent about 2 hours on lathe doing this piece, and he was almost done. Guy comes up behind him, taps 2 pieces of glass together. Guy working on the piece throws up his hand, cusses, takes the piece out, and throws it in the trash.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Yeah. Whenever I hear that sound, I think of that.
That's too funny and fucked up at the same time.
Yep. Yep.
That's the worst, man. Because I'll be working on a piece and I'll have a punty on the table, and or some weird color scrap that cracks, and I'm like, what the fuck? I can't tell if it came out of my kiln or if it's on the piece I'm working on or what.
Yeah, you start looking around. Like,
Yeah.
where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do that too.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So when you're in the studio, do you listen to the radio, do you watch TV, or do you do both?
If I had a TV on, I would never work. So I do not have a TV. In our house, we only have one TV. We do not have one in the bedroom. Let's see, radio. I'll put Sirius on every once in a while, but mostly it's podcasts or my playlist.
Nice. What podcast can you recommend for us?
This one, of course.
Oh, thanks.
Oh gosh, there's stuff you missed in history, or stuff you didn't know about in history, or something like that. I forget what the title is. It talks about a different view of events that happened in history. It goes more into detail, sort of like behind the scenes stuff. There's Sawbones, which is a medical show where they talk about different medical things. Like one of the recent ones was vinegar. You know, so some of the quacks, how they said vinegar is really good for you and what it does, and you know, they're not trying to diagnose anything. It's just like a history of misguided medical stuff.
Oh.
There's a couple other like authors that, you know, post some stuff every once in a while. Very varied on mine.
Yeah.
On my podcasts that I listen to. I have a couple of gaming podcasts that I listen to.
Nice. You listen to Tim Ferriss at all?
No.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss show is a great show.
All right, let me write that down. I got my test sheet here.
Yeah. It's Ferriss.
I missed the last S.
Yeah, he's got
that
great interview skills, and it started off as a 6 episode kind of experiment for himself, and he found that it was the medium of podcasting was so much fun and a way for him to talk to his community that he's just gone full bore and he just does it all the time. And his interview, like I said, his interviews are amazing. He pulls questions and info out of people that you never knew. Like, I've learned so much about Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Schwarzenegger interview he had with him that I had no idea about him. Like, gave me this whole new respect for Schwarzenegger. Really good shit.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that one out.
And if you like the history stuff, another one is which I've been turned on to recently is called Hardcore History, and they're really good. The guy does them in usually they're 2-hour episodes, and like right now I'm listening to The Wrath of the Khans, which is all about the history of the family and the tyranny and craziness that they raged across the world, but also how awesome they were. It's really fascinating, bro. Like, he questions, like, you know, like the different sides and perspectives of history. Like, say, like the Nazis and Adolf Hitler, obviously they were all terrible people, but there were some positive things that they did in science that we wouldn't have now if they didn't develop it for what they were doing at the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
yeah.
it's a different. He gives this whole, like, that's why I called it hardcore history, because it's a different. It's a hardcore perspective on the positive sides of massacre, basically. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really fascinating shit. And I've been trying to get into some of the radio theater. I've actually been wanting to produce a radio theater style show myself, and I've found some. One's called the Decoder Ring, and it's a mystery show. It's which I haven't listened to yet, but I'm really intrigued by it. I want to check it out. I like the old time radio theater stuff.
All right, you're really going to make me work now, because the only time I listen to podcasts is when I work or if I'm driving. So I'm going to have to really work.
I'm in the same boat, dude. I'm like, man, I can't listen. Yeah, I'm either washing dishes around my car or on the torch.
Yeah, or I listen to some books too.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
And I can go through like a book every 2 days, or a book a day, depending on the book. But I mean, there are some times when I just get into it, and my wife leaves in the morning. I'm working. And she comes home and she's like, "Did you do anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been working." Well, the house is a mess, and I just get so engrossed, and I just keep, I don't even stop for lunch or anything.
Yeah, I'm in the same way, bro. Sounds very familiar. And speaking of audiobooks, a kind of quick little plug, if you guys are not aware, you can go to audibletrial.com/wiseguy radio. and you can get yourself set up for a free 30-day trial.
Darn. I'm already a member.
There you go.
Yeah, I got the, I think it's $15 a month, and I get one credit.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can get one book or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I got a lot of books that way.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love it, dude. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So to move on a little bit with this part of it, if what was it? Oh yeah. So your worst injury. What's your worst injury in the studio? And if you have a couple, you can share those. But if you have one in particular that stands out, definitely share that.
I got 2 bad injuries. One was I was putting a piece of tubing into a stopper, and as I was twisting the tubing, it broke and went into my finger. Not my knuckle, but the joint just past my knuckle. It went into that joint, and for about a good year, I could only bend that joint about 10 degrees. So my finger was like almost straight out all the time. And then I went to a doctor, and he goes, oh, yeah, it's a lot of scar tissue. You just got to break through the scar tissue. So he grabs my hand and just bends my finger.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it didn't hurt when he did it. About 2 seconds afterwards, I was ready to punch him. But, I have the mobility of my finger now. You can't tell. I mean, there's a little scar, but you can't tell. The other injury was very recent, last year, maybe about this time. In the process of making the hand tools, I have to heat treat some of the metal. And I got a little sloppy and a little careless. And in the process of doing it, the oil that I was using fireballed on me. And it got my arm from my knuckles to my elbow and the right side of my face.
Whoa.
Second degree burns.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It was pretty nasty. And it happened, and I'm like, oh my God, is the house on fire? Where's the dog? Okay, let me shut everything off. And then I went inside and put, room temperature water on it, lukewarm water, stripped down, hopped in the tub, and sat there for about 2 hours. And then I was like, okay, yeah, it looks kind of nasty. Yeah, it'll be fine. Well, my wife was traveling at the time. She wasn't home. And I'm like, I really need to tell her, because this isn't going to heal by the time she comes home.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so I tell her the next day, and she goes, go to the emergency room. So we have urgent care here. So I went to there, and they're like, oh, my God, you got to go to the hospital. So we call the burn center across the bridge, into Maryland. And they're like, well, we can't see him for about another 2 weeks, but if he goes to the ER, he could be seen in about 6 hours. And we're like, he kind of needs to be seen now, but we're not going to pay emergency care, going to the ER. We work for a living. So we called another burn center, and they're like, oh, yeah, have him come in tomorrow morning.
Nice.
We'll squeeze him in. And, I mean, my arm is the pigment's a little off, but my face, you can't tell. I mean, I got really, really lucky.
Man, yeah, sounds like it. Holy shit. It reminds me of kind of a PSA at this point is if you're cleaning your torches with your little gimmicks, kind of clean out your ports, make sure your propane is turned off at your tank and that your line's drained. Because I had a friend of mine that didn't have that. He thought he did, but it wasn't completely shut off and just caused a little tiny little spark inside of his torch. And same kind of thing, man. A fireball came out of his torch and completely scorched his hand. Like his hand was fucked for about 6 months, like just nasty. So, because usually you're running your oxygen while you're doing it. It's just to keep your ports,
right.
Get all that shit out of there. And yeah, he had just like the slightest little propane leak, and that's all it took, man. Just exploded on him. And his torch was good. He had a Carlisle, so the barrel and everything was good to go, but his hand was jacked up. Yeah. It was just a nasty blister bubble. It's gross, but still, it's a good thing to pay attention to.
You could probably take it one step further than that and disconnect your propane.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
This way you're not gonna have that problem.
Yeah.
I know. I clean some of my torch tips in the CLR.
Okay.
I drop them in there for a couple of hours and then, water and blow them out, and they're usually pretty good after that. They look pretty.
Yeah, I'm sure. Is that for your hand torches?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you could probably do it to, like, the Carlisle if you wanted to, but I've never tried it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many different theories I've heard, which is going to be part of my chats with Mike, asking him too, because I've always heard one way to clean a Carlisle, especially, is to work it really hot, and then shut everything off, and then turn on your oxygen, and then dip the head of the torch into like a bucket of water, and supposedly it's supposed to crack all the glass particles and dust and shit out of there. But I'm just worried about the welds of the little tubes going out and the ports and stuff. I don't know. It's
Well, you know what? Call Carlisle. Talk
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I need to call them anyways and bring them on the show.
Yeah, yeah. I would say, or if you want, no, I won't get into it.
Okay.
No, I was just thinking that, by the time this airs, it's going to be too late. But I mean, the Delaware Valley section of the ASGS is having a meeting at Carlisle.
Oh, nice.
And we get a tour of the plant, and we talk to Mary, and we get the history of Carlisle, get to see how they make stuff, and use their facility if you want to test out a torch or
Hell yeah.
whatnot. And we have the Delaware Valley section has a meeting there at least once a year.
Nice. Well, when's this going to happen?
24th of March.
So not this week, but the week after.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
This is going to air in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so it's going to be over.
Yeah. Well, if you can remember to ask them, maybe like what's the best way to clean out a clogged tip or a clogged port,
Sure.
and then let me know, and I can just add it to the intro or to a newsletter that I do as well, or whatever.
Oh, I'll definitely ask.
It'd be cool. Okay, hell yeah. Okay. So the final question, which I'm gonna have to change a little bit for yourself, is if you're stranded on a desert island, or actually just on an island in general, because it could be whatever the hell you want it to be, resort, naked chicks, empty, nothing at all, whatever you want to have it be, and all you had there was a lathe and your gases and a torch and a kiln, I guess you'd need to. What 5 items would you bring to work?
Have to bring the glasses.
Mm-hmm.
Have to. I mean, I've heard plenty of the podcasts, so you definitely need the glasses. Yeah. Just a shitload of color and some tubes. Pretty much everything else I can scrounge around and make stuff.
Hell yeah. Well, you got 2 more things. And it doesn't have to be glass. Oh, go on.
Beer assistant.
There you go.
So when I want something, boom, they're going to bring it.
Hell yeah. You got 1 more.
A comfortable chair.
Perfect. Hell yeah, man. Well, before I let you go, I want to discuss the ASGS real quick with everybody, because that's part of why I'm excited to bring the scientific world into here, as also be part of the American Scientific Glassblowers Society. And the symposium coming up. Are you going to be at the symposium this year?
Yes, I am. I'm
Cool.
going to be there.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll be there myself. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so if you want to discuss your involvement with that as well, then you got the Delaware chapter that you have, but also the organization is nationwide. So if you want to just kind of give us a little brief history of that in terms of your involvement with it, and also what the mission for the society is.
Okay. I've been one of the section officers for, a number of years. Currently, I'm the director of the section. We have meetings 3 times a year. We are the smallest regional section with the most glassblowers. The Delaware Valley section covers like the southern part of New Jersey, Philadelphia, northern tip of Delaware. Like I said, we have the most glass blowers. A lot of the glass houses are in South Jersey. We have Salem Community College. We have a lot of students in the area because of them. On a national level, we hold a symposium every year, and it's always in a different spot. This year, it's in Tucson, Arizona. Next year, I think it's going to be in Texas. And the year after that, might be in the Rocky Mountain section. You can hit the website and look at the sections. We have a lot of information on there. My involvement on the national level is I am in charge of the Joseph S. Greger Junior Member Seminar. It's a free seminar to junior members, junior student members. They don't have to pay a dime to get in. It's limited to 12 people. We cover 3-4 different things. It's a 2-day event. We have very experienced people that teach the class. It's all hands-on. Everything's supplied. You could just bring your glasses, and if you don't have glasses, we have them too. We have a past couple of years a chemist who's not a glassblower, who is part of the society, and he's been in the junior member seminar. And he wanted to know about glass so that he could be a better chemist. On a whole, the society is just an information deposit. If you have a question about something, somebody there knows the answer. There's people all over. We have some international members. Oh gosh, there's just so much.
I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely come out and see us in Arizona. We're at, I want to say it's like a spa resort.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
Yeah, it'll be my first time getting out there myself, and also being involved. And it's going to be a lot of firsts for me. It's going to be my first time there in the location, my first time getting involved into a large community like this as an event. I've never really been to a large glass event before, the whole 9 yards, and especially the scientific glass thing. I'm going to be seeing things being done that I've never even thought about or never even knew existed. So I'm super pumped. Plus, I'm going to be doing video and audio and doing podcast episodes and recording episodes and stuff out there too.
Good. Well, when you're out there, look me up. I'll be busy Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay.
Because that's when the junior member seminar is going on. Normally, we don't allow other people in, like people just walking in, but since I know you're going to be there, I'll let you in.
Okay, awesome.
So you could talk to some of the people that are in there and stuff. And the ASGS is all voluntary. Nobody gets paid. The symposium and all the teachers and everything, it's all volunteers.
Hell yeah.
All the teachers, I'm in charge of the one workshop or the one seminar. I don't get paid. It's all on me going out there.
Nice. Yeah, it's exciting, and I like seeing that. I like seeing the people giving back to the community and sharing the knowledge that they have and bringing on new generations of artists and inspiring people. And it's pretty neat, especially with technology and the way things are going. I'm really curious to see. I mean, just the past 5 years, how much things have changed. What the next 5 years is going to bring us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. Definitely interesting to see it. The ASGS usually has a challenge every year. Last year was the first year. This year it's a goblet challenge, where you got to, have a certain amount of things, like some coils, some joints, a couple different types of seals. But the winner gets, I think it's $200.
Nice.
And then second is like 100. So I mean, there's stuff like that to do. It's all on the website. You can't miss it. You hit the website. I mean, there's classifieds. If you're looking for a job, you could post it. If you want a job, there's some that are listed. Equipment, sponsors, vendors. There's people who
Yeah, I'll have all the links definitely for that on the show notes for sure.
Oh yeah.
Killer, man. Well, before we let you go, if you want to give us any kind of parting piece of advice, and then also where we can find you out there in the world of cyberspace. Okay,
advice. Practice, never give up, and watch as many people as you can. That's the best way to learn. And if you're going to watch somebody, break it down into different segments. I say get an overview of what they're doing, have them make it again, watch their hands, how they move their hands, where it's positioned. Watch the fire, where it is, what type of fire it is. And then get an overview again so you see how it all comes together. Pay attention. Don't just BS talking to them. Really pay attention and watch. But never give up. Just keep going.
Hell yeah.
There's a lot of help out there. You just got to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perseverance is number one. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
patience.
Yep. Where I am in the world, I have a website. It's ccubco.com. If you just do ccube.com, that's a high-end Italian boat manufacturer. So you got to make sure you put the CO in it. I'm on Facebook at Christopher Bock. I do not have Instagram. I do not care about Twitter. I am too busy to really deal with too much.
Yes. Agreed.
So,
and that's C as in SEA cubco.com.
Yes, SEACUBECO.com.
Hell yeah. Cool, man. And also, before we let you go, I wanted to share with everybody that you are officially our newest sponsor coming on the show, which I can't thank you enough for that. And I'm excited to not only have you on the show here as a guest, but also to have you on here for a while as a sponsor and sharing your business and what you're making and supporting myself and the show and supporting the community out there in general, with what you're doing. So I can't thank you enough, and I hope you all definitely go to his website and check him out. And then we'll be starting ads next week and getting this going, so you guys can definitely get some tools and stuff. And you don't need reamers. If you can get a tool that's going to make your joint working tool, glass stuff way easier, dude. Tools are the way to go. Like my dad's always said, the right tool for the right job. And if you're producing these high quality tools, we got to get them out there for people to know about.
Yep, and the tools aren't for everybody.
Yep.
Like anything else, everything is not for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. Some people love them, some people don't. Another bit of advice: get a good accountant.
Yes.
Get someone you can trust.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, I have a great accountant. I mean, I thought I'd have to be paying a lot more, and he found ways, legal ways to make sure I didn't have to pay that much.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Chris. Well, again, brother, it was a great honor to have you on here. And as we continue to bring the scientific glass artists on here, it's pretty fun. You're not the third person I have next week is another guy coming on. It's airing his show. We have to go through the process of I have to edit it still. So,
okay.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man. So you'll be out in probably about 3 weeks, I think it's going to be.
That's fine.
And,
That's fine.
I'll definitely let you know. And
yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, again, please contact myself, info@wiseguyradio.com. I know Chris has his links on his website as well. You can contact him for any other future questions.
Yep.
And thanks to you all for tuning in to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show, and we will see you on the next one. Y'all take care.
See ya.
Peace. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.